CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling in South Florida. They're at the Tiki Bar, and this is a benefit fundraiser event for the Michael J. Fox Foundation, an awesome event. And right now we're going to talk to a newer wrestler, but she has a family history in pro wrestling, and she is also a very accomplished power lifter. Bronze medal winner at the 2014 World Powerlifting Championships. For those that remember the Road Warriors, and they had this exceptional mouthpiece called Paul Ellering, this is Rachael Ellering, the daughter of Paul Ellering. Rachael, thank you so much. You're getting into wrestling.
Yes.
Tell us how you got started with pro wrestling, where you've been training, and what inspired you to get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Quite the intro, my goodness. I started training in September up in Calgary, Alberta with Lance Storm at SWA, and that was the time of my life. And so I started in September, ended at the end of November. November 21st was my very first match. Oddly enough, I got to team with Lance, which I always joke that I'll never be able to top my first match because that was so special to me. And so started working matches, and I've been doing them since then. And just about 3 weeks ago, I moved down here to Florida. So a lot of wrestling down here, a lot of great girls to work with, a lot of good experiences to be had. So it's the place to be.
Is that, I was going to ask you too, you said that's a place to be. This is a good spot. You're in Central Florida.
Yes.
You're coming from, lived in Minnesota,
Yep.
Went to Canada, trained with Lance, and now you're here in Central Florida.
Yeah.
NXT and WWE Performance Center is based in Orlando.
Yep.
You have Shine, which is a great women's group that's out of Tampa area.
It is, yeah.
And was that all? And there's other groups out there. I Believe in Wrestling. There's so many in Central and South Florida.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what was the thought process there? Let me go down to Florida.
Yeah, I traveled across Canada for 3 months working shows, and just with WWE being based out of Florida, there's so much wrestling that's popping up and building down here. And so I knew that to continue getting better, to work with new girls, to be on different shows with different crowds, that's how you get better. And this is the place to do it. And having a tan isn't half bad either, so...
Especially for a Minnesota girl.
Gotta get rid of my Minnesota skin, exactly. But yes, lots of great wrestling. I actually, on Friday, make my Shine debut, so I'm very fortunate for that opportunity, and so far I'm off to a good start.
How'd you find Lance Storm? How did that contact come about?
Yeah, I always joke with Lance because we met on Twitter initially, and I live tweet Raw because it's what I do, and so does he, and so he responded to one of my tweets, and we just kind of chatted back and forth. And then once I was about ready to graduate with my bachelor's degree, this is all I've ever wanted to do since I was 16. It's just picking the right place to do it. And he has the reputation of being the best trainer in the world. And so for me, it's always my goal to be the best in whatever I do. And so I want to be trained by the best. And so I moved to Calgary, and couldn't have been more true. He is absolutely the greatest trainer and the greatest guy. So it was an incredible experience.
And he's got a good reputation.
The best, yeah.
Emma, you mentioned Tyler Breeze. Peyton Royce
in NXT, yeah. Taya Valkyrie was on Lucha Underground this season. She's trained by him. Biff Busick, who's in NXT. The list is like miles long, so he's got quite the rep. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have been trained by him.
When you were getting started in training, what were some of the points that you had to get comfortable doing to try to become a professional wrestler?
Yeah. When I got up there, I had never taken a bump. I had never done anything. And so I was in a class I was the only girl, which was kind of awesome. And I got to beat guys up every day, right? What's better than that? And so we started from square one. You learn how to bump, roll, protect yourself, and then you work all the way up to matches. And so by the end of the 3 months, everybody has a match with Lance, and then you're sent into the wonderful world of pro wrestling.
When you had your first match, and you mentioned it a little bit, what was it like? And since then, what has it been like from that first match to where you're progressing now? Because you're still fairly new at all this.
Yeah, I am fairly new. It's amazing how fast things change. My first match, I always joke around with Lance. I was a nervous hugger. Before that match, I gave him easily triple-digit hugs. Every 2 seconds, I'm like, I just need a hug. I'm so nervous. And now, before I go out, I'm the one dancing to the re-entrance music, and I'm super relaxed now, so I don't get as nervous. But wrestling-wise, because there's always something that you learn and take from each match. And so especially now being down here working a couple different girls I've never worked with, and that's an experience in itself, and it's been so fun.
How did you feel about having those matches and still having a short period of time of training?
Yeah.
Was it just something naturally that you were able to take to and get comfortable with?
Yeah, I picked it up fairly quickly. I guess that's something you'd have to ask Lance, right? I don't know.
He'd be better to answer something
exactly.
like that.
But yeah, I picked it up fairly quickly. You know, like you said, I am generational, so it isn't like this is completely a new thing for me. And then I've also, ever since I was 16 and decided this is what I want to do, it's all I ever think about, it's all I watch, it's all, you know, my brain is one track on it. And so it isn't like when you learn something, I didn't have to ask, what is that? I've never seen that, right? And so that made it a little bit easier. But I've just been very fortunate to learn from the best, and that makes it a million times easier.
You mentioned college. So
Yeah.
where did you attend college? What did you get your degree in?
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in communication studies, and I graduated from St. Catherine University in St. Paul, Minnesota. So, yeah.
How important was that for you to have a college degree in
Yeah, it
all
was
that?
very important. Education's very important, and especially to get it in something I actually enjoy. And I've always enjoyed public speaking and connecting with different groups of people, and so communications just really, it was the perfect fit for me. And I always joke that I majored in pro wrestling and minored in communication studies because I grasped the whole thing and just formed it around wrestling. So I take, you know, theater classes here and there and marketing, and because it all works perfectly for this. So it was a good time, a good 4 years.
Were you powerlifting when you were in high school? For the high school team, or no? Was it always
No, in
individual?
high school I did volleyball, basketball, softball, so I was a 3-sport athlete.
How good were you?
Yeah, I was
All state?
Yeah, all conference, all that jazz. So I was good at sports. I love sports, and so my sophomore year of college, I picked up powerlifting. I had never lifted weights before, and so I competed in powerlifting for 2 years, and it was such a blast.
Was that I don't know too much about the sport.
Yeah.
So was that unusual though for someone to start that age later and be able to do as well as you were able to do?
I think it's more rare. People start at any ages. There's people that I've lifted at meets where there's 70-year-old people lifting, and it's like, this is the coolest. It's so motivational, right? But then I've also seen 14-year-old kids who are on their high school teams and stuff, and so they start younger. For me, I wouldn't say the age was anything different, but it's fairly rare to in 2 years go from never having lifted weights to, you know, ending where I ended. So I'm very, very fortunate. Got to learn, you know, powerlifting from a lot of great coaches as well, and met so many great people, and so it was such a great experience. I look back on it with nothing but fond memories.
You had told me that powerlifting, it's not an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Weightlifting is an Olympic sport, but now powerlifting.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Because then you already know, well, I don't have aspirations to be an Olympian.
Yeah, it's like I said before, everything I've ever done, I'm always doing it to be the best. That's just how my brain works. I'm so competitive. And so when I started powerlifting, I had trained maybe a month or two, and I decided, well, the state championships are coming up, so I'm going to do a qualify, and then I'm going to go to state, because that's just how my brain works, right? And so I did, and I qualified. I went to state. I won my first state championship in my second meet, and then, you know, my brain just transitioned from, okay, now I need to go to nationals. Went to nationals, and then, you know, that's where you qualify for the world championships. And so with the world championships being in powerlifting, it's our Olympics, right? Because that's the biggest meet you can go to. And so then, you know, my brain just goes from one thing to the next, and I'm big on goal setting, so it just transitioned to that.
Where were the world championships?
They were in South Africa. Yeah.
First time going to South Africa?
First time going to South Africa.
What was that like?
Oh, so incredible. The people there were so amazing. And not only just the hosts and the venue, and obviously that was all incredible, but the coolest thing is meeting powerlifters from all over the world. You're all there for the same thing, you know? And you speak the same language. You speak powerlifting, right? And it's very much like wrestling. Everybody speaks wrestling. And so it is the coolest thing. And every country, you know, is represented, and so it was just I just get goosebumps thinking about it, right? But
Were you wearing the red, white, and blue?
Of course it was.
What was that like for you?
Yeah. Actually, the day I got my team uniform in the mail, I cried. No shame, no shame. When you open a package and you see, you know, Team USA and your last name on it, it's just, it's very humbling because I never ever thought, you know, because I got into, I only did it for 2 years, I never thought like, wow, I'm going to represent our country doing this. Very, 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 very fortunate to have that opportunity. So I'm very blessed, very, very blessed.
Your dad was a big power lifter.
Yeah.
And he was did very well with that.
Yes.
Did you speak much about powerlifting with your dad? Did he get to see you powerlift?
Yeah. My dad saw me powerlift just a couple of times. My mom was at every single meet. She, like, from start to finish. And so, we're at a bikers thing here, people. We're at a bikers thing.
What do you expect, right?
Like, where's my leather jacket? I'm doing this interview wrong.
The leather jacket would go good with the shirt, too.
I wear one to the ring.
Yeah, there you go.
I wear it to the ring, but today I'm like, it's a little toasty out here, so.
Because I got to see the Legion of Doom shirt.
I'm repping the LOD here today, so why not?
This is a great place for the Legion of Doom, right?
Exactly, yes.